Daylight is a first-person, procedurally generated survival horror game that was developed by Zombie Studios in 2014 for PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. Daylight's story revolves around a woman named Sarah, who awakens in a mysterious hospital with no recollection of how she got there. An unknown man who speaks to Sarah through her phone helps fill us in on some of what is going on. It is up to Sarah to uncover the secrets of this hospital and avoid any dangers that may be lurking within it. Daylight was one of the first games ever to make use of Unreal Engine 4, but they didn't make use of it very well. Daylight was destroyed by critics on release. Reviewers criticized its bland, repetitive gameplay, technical issues, and atrocious writing, but I refuse to believe that anything that features the writing talents of Jessica Chobot could have atrocious writing.
Sarah, no matter where you go, there you are.
Okay.
Careful, Sarah. The more you cut, the faster they see.
What does that mean? You're confusing me!
Life is but a butterfly's dream. So much pain and suffering. And from those who seek those.
The gameplay in Daylight is very similar to another very popular survival horror game, Slender, the 8 Pages. Basically, Sarah has to wander through various environments, finding pieces of paper, called remnants in this game. These remnants fill you in on the backstory of the game and help you piece together what happened in this hospital. Sarah must find a certain number of remnants before she is allowed access to the key that unlocks the exit to the area. However, there's a catch. The more remnants she finds, the more likely you are to bump into the ghost who is stalking you through the halls of the hospital. I'm going to be honest, there are times when Daylight can be genuinely scary. This bitch has caught me off guard more times than I care to admit. However, once you realise that the ghost doesn't pose too much of a threat, the game becomes a lot less scary. Basically, the more you stare at the ghost, the quicker you die. However, I discovered a bug in Daylight that pretty much breaks the game. Stare at the ground. Yeah, it sounds unbelievable, but it actually works. The ghost will almost never appear as long as you keep staring at the ground. But how are you supposed to know where you're going if you're staring at the ground, I hear you ask. Simple. Your phone has the map of the area, so just look at that. Once I discovered this bug, I never died again in Daylight, even on hard mode. The developers made a big deal of how every playthrough of Daylight is different, because the map design is completely unique each time you play. However, while the layout of the map may be different each time, the gameplay never changes. It still boils down to find the pieces of paper, find the key, and escape the area. Slightly altered map design does nothing to keep this game interesting. If you're going to play Daylight, I recommend you play it once and leave it at that. The game does not have enough interesting ideas to keep you coming back once the credits have rolled. So is there anything I like about this game? Well, yes actually. While I wasn't a fan of the story overall in Daylight, I still found some of the lore quite interesting. It's fun trying to uncover the reasons as to why so many patients in this hospital went crazy. Were they really seeing demons, or were they simply losing their minds? I find any game that deals with themes of mental illness interesting, even if I don't suffer from any mental health issues myself.
What the? Am I bleeding? Oh, Woody. That's the second time you've stabbed me this week. Call an ambulance.
I really wanted to like Daylight, and I don't believe it's a terrible game. It can be scary at times, and believe it or not, it can be a lot of fun to speedrun, since it can be beaten in about an hour once you understand all the mechanics in the game. If you can get the game for under $5 and you're a big fan of survival horror, I'd say go for it. Daylight won't blow your mind, but there is still enjoyment to be had with the game.
Shit. I think I blacked out there for a minute. Oh good, is that the ambulance? Bring the phone closer to my ear, will you? For God's sake. Hello?
Hey, welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order, please?
Mother